going on, all you wild Foo Fighters enthusiasts? It's your two favorite rap dads back here. I'm Logan Mars, my good mate over there.
Henry Hill.
These wild ghouls are back to talk about one of our favorite bands, rock and roll bands, keeping the genre alive, the Foo Fighters, in their brand new film, as you can see behind me.
Studio 666. Whoa.
So this movie, as you can guess, is not very plot heavy. You know, it's the Foo Fighters playing themselves. We have the entire band here, which are all fantastic and are known to have great chemistry. They're one of the few bands that have had really great music videos over the years, always pretty comedic and original, and it's cool seeing them on the big screen with the brand new film. This one's directed by Bj Mcdonald, not familiar with his work, but he's at the helm of this film, and essentially the band is going to be recording their 10th album. They're looking for a place to record this. You get the idea to find this old mansion that had a bloody history behind it to go record this and, you know, create something new. And that's exactly what they do. But some spooky things happen along the way.
That's right. If you guys know the Foo Fighters and have seen their music videos, like you were mentioning, you know, the kind of comedy and the way that they act from the videos, you can get that their personality shines through. And basically Dave Grohl created that, created this movie. He had an idea of, recording at this place and, them getting possessed and taken over by ancient demons and all that. And it started out as just kind of like hey, we should shoot a little thing, he said. And then it turned into a feature length film. Like he had the idea and then he got another writer to help and they put together this movie and it wound up being this nearly 2-hour horror comedy from the great Foo Fighters, a great rock band. I'm big fans of them. They've, Dave Grohl obviously wrote the first album and, brought himself out of just being the drummer from Nirvana to being, a certified rock hero and, a guy that writes great songs. They've had a prolific history. They've been going on for over 25 years now. So, it's like your parents, like in Creedence Clearwater, a band like that, that's, had all that clout. Just one of the great bands. But anyways, this movie, a great concept, really funny from Dave Grohl, the story, it's easy to see these guys, be in this kind of movie together. They have great chemistry. Like you said, they've been playing in the band, but they also, all bring their personality to this movie. And it feels like, in the beginning where they have some scenes where they're all together as a band, it seems more like a camera was just in there filming an actual documentary with them, like in a pitch meeting for their next album. So yeah, in the beginning, they meet their manager. They need to make the 10th album. They want to make it special. So they're going to go to this Encino mansion. And in the beginning, we get a pretty gory scene to start things off where it shows this band, Dream Widow, that was recording there years before, and some murders happened in there. So that's this kind of spirit lives in the house. Specifically, there's something in the basement that is causing all this chaos.
Yeah, in the first part of this movie, Dave Grohl is possessed by his own ego, and then he's possessed. They find out in the house. But yeah, them going to this house, things start, happening, weird things happening. You can see Mr. Dave Grohl changing each day, and he's, just has really great delivery on camera. He's got a lot of energy to him. He's just always great, interviews and just on camera in general. He's really great in this movie, playing himself, but really becoming possessed. Like I said, Jimmy Page, they wanted some witchcraft and wizards and things like that with this album, and that's why they chose this place. And Leslie Grossman has a small part. There's a lot of good cameos in this movie.
Yes.
A lot of familiar faces in comedy and horror. Leslie Grossman's sets him up at this house, and the next door neighbor is Whitney Cummings, comedian. And she's, knows about the house. She's been there for a long time and really having to do with the ending. And the demise of her was pretty great.
Yeah, some really great classic gory scenes in this. I thought the, obvious wire work when Dave Grohl was possessed up in the air was hilarious. Like perfectly campy. If you're not a fan of the Foo Fighters and you don't understand their kind of comedy, you might watch this and think they're like actually trying to be serious, but they're really not. It's just a spoof. You got to look at this movie with that lens. Otherwise you'll pick it apart. I mean, it's not some brilliant horror that you haven't seen before. It's just so funny how the band members work together on screen, and like how Dave gets this, like you mentioned, he has this massive ego in the beginning and it just gets worse when he becomes possessed. He's trying to, make all these heavy metal songs, and the rest of the band's wondering if he, is questioning his sanity basically throughout the film. And then, eventually murders start happening and they just get more and more brutal. Like you mentioned, some cameos there. Will Forte is also in this, Lionel Richie. And our personal hero, John Carpenter, also makes an appearance in the movie, and he wrote the theme song for this movie as well. So, extra points there when you bring John Carpenter on board for your low budget horror film. You just so happen to be one of the biggest rock bands on earth, if not the biggest, and you make a movie. I mean, what's not to love about this? You got to have fun with this movie. It's tongue in cheek. It's funny. There are some good gory scenes. Some of it's like obviously fake, but it's always a wink or a nod to the audience saying like, we know you guys are in this with us. Thank you. And like, you can see why they work so well together as a group, because they're now like a family. They're so close. They can rely on each other, and nobody's ego, is bigger than anybody else's within the band. They're all feel like they're one, and that's what makes the movie work. Otherwise, these guys are bad actors who'd be terrible. But since they had this long history, it works on screen.
Pat Smear in Nirvana with Grohl, and then you have Nate coming in from Sunny Day Real Estate, the early days Foo Fighters, and Taylor Hawkins in the 90s. They just got great chemistry. Pat Smear's acting was a little rough, but the rest of the band I thought were pretty good. They were all pretty relaxed and believable. Even old Chris Shitcliffe, he was funny in the movie, and his demise is also pretty excellent.
Yeah, I loved his kill scene. That was hilarious.
Love that the total throwback to the 80s campy B horror movies that we love. The practical effects were there. Those were all pretty top notch, really gory, really surprising how dark they went in this movie with cannibalism. Like we were talking in our last review of Fresh, Mr. Grohl gets pretty hungry, and all work and no play makes Dave a dull boy.
Yes, it does. He's got to have some human flesh.
Yeah, slowly turns into Jack Torrance in this movie, mixed with the vampire in Fright Night. That's what it reminded me of. Which is a lot of nods to 80s horror. Obviously, the master of horror himself, our favorite horror director, John Carpenter, making a small cameo with his son and doing the music. You can tell it has the Carpenter feel to it, which I really appreciated. They keep going back to create this long fucking song that's like 45 minutes long, and they keep adding on to it.
Yeah.
And the band, it wants to be longer and longer. The voices are talking to Dave and telling him, you got to, perfect this song. You have to end it. So they have to keep going back and adding more to the song. It's pretty cool. And a lot of great comedic scenes throughout, the characters, the bandmates. Taylor Hawkins is like, I have blisters on my blisters. He keeps playing, and the band's getting pissed, but Dave's not himself, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, a lot of great funny moments throughout the film. A lot of comedic moments, some good kill scenes with all the band members, and I liked where they went at the end. That was pretty clever. You think it's ending, but then after there's a little small part that shows you what they could maybe venture into if they make a sequel to Studio 666, which I would be all for. I don't know how successful the movie was at the theaters, and we'll see how it does on demand and all that. But I wouldn't mind seeing another one. It was fun. Maybe they could do a different genre. Maybe try a different, maybe
sci-fi or something.
Yeah, sci-fi. Go somewhere like that. I could see the band doing that. They're that big now. They're the biggest rock and roll band, I'd say, probably. Right now, currently, doesn't get any bigger. Their live shows are amazing. I've seen them many times. I can't even count now. I'd have to list them. But if you haven't seen them, definitely go see their show. Every single show they play like it's their last show. Like you can tell that Dave really loves what he's doing, and he's very grateful for every chance he gets to get up on stage. He never half-asses it ever. You can tell it just comes through, and that's what makes him such a great live band. So you guys should definitely check them out. I had a great time with Studio 666. I don't go in expecting like a straight up horror film. There's a lot of comedy. It's meant to be funny. It's an homage to B movies, especially of the 80s. And it works very well for me. So I am going to give Studio 666 a 4 out of 5 Rami Jaffe hair pieces.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm also a huge Foo Fighters fan. The first CD I ever bought was Color and Shape. Been a fan since the beginning. Never seen them live, unfortunately. I've always wanted to. One of these days I'll get around to it. I'm a huge fan of Dave Grohl. We both just listened to his audiobook on Audible, talking about his life growing up. A really smart dude, very creative and always trying to do his best, making music. And this is a really great, fun movie. I didn't know what to expect. I think I watched one trailer. I saw Foo Fighters, so I was definitely interested and had a great time with the campiness and the throwbacks, all the 80s movies we love, slasher, practical effects are all there. Pretty good directing, really great comedy and some dark scenes in there that I really appreciated. And I thought the band did a great job in this movie. And I had a really great time with it, and I highly recommend it. So that being said, I'll give Studio 666 a 4 out of 5 Dave Grohl hairpieces. So interested in hearing your guys' thoughts on Studio 666. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, check out these wild boys on our website, Cinephellas.com, and Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest, greatest TV movie news and reviews. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel as well. We got more videos coming out, brand new podcast hitting the interwebs probably tomorrow. We just posted a few reviews. Me and this guy here had a great time talking movies and TV shows as always, and plenty more content coming very soon right here on our channel. So that was our review of Studio 666, now streaming. We had a great time with the Foo Fighters boys, and we're looking forward to seeing more movies and TV shows coming out very soon. So this is your two favorite Cinephellas boys here, signing out until the next review. Cheers!